recording, and then we can just hop into some of the mechanics, things that we were going to talk about. Firstly, you just mentioned that you're only playing once in a while, which do note that can hinder your mechanical performance when you're only playing like once or twice a week. Obviously, of course, if you have life stuff or if you just don't want to play the game every single day, that's completely understandable, and like that's I'm not saying that you have to. I'm just saying keep that in mind, that mechanics is something that a lot of times keeps very consistent the more frequently that you're playing. But when you're not playing, basically you'll go like a week and your aim's getting rusty. Like your aim gets
Right.
rusty really quickly. So that's just something to keep in mind, and that's something you're going to be fighting against when you're only playing that frequently. I mean, you could potentially try to help upset that by just even getting on, just do a quick warm-up, even if it's for like 10 minutes, and then getting off, and that can help keep your aim more consistent if you just practice it really briefly each day, or even if it's a couple extra days during the week, that could help keep your aim more consistent. But of course, once again, not gonna make you do that if that's not within your time frame. And there's a lot of other ways that you can look to keep your aim more consistent as well. So let's see. Let's talk about warm-ups real quick. Do you currently do any warm-ups before you like play comp or anything like that?
Nah.
No. Do you play competitive, or do you play mostly quick play?
Mostly quick play.
Mostly quick play? Okay. Well, then warm-ups aren't that massive of a deal if you're just playing quick play. But if you're looking to, have improved performance with mechanics, then it might be something handy. Even if you just did it while in queues, you could do a quick warm-up. Warm-ups, what warm-ups do is it's just getting your blood pumping. It's getting your mechanics basically unrusted. It's getting your aim back in the game because you haven't been playing for half a week or something like that. So your aim is going to be rusty. You need to get it back going again. So you want a high aim intensive game mode. There's a lot of different options for this in Overwatch. You can do like an aim training game mode. There's plenty of those. Or you could do, like I said, a high aim intensive mode, which would be like in custom games. They have plenty of those options, such as deathmatch, tryhard free for all, gun game, 1v1 arena, aim arena. There's plenty of different options for you to be going in and practicing your aim, and you can do that just like in between queues, and that could just help keep help warm up your aim, but then also that could be just a good place to practice it as well in between queues, if that poses any interest to you. And then besides like warming up and practicing, there's also crosshair placement. Do you remember, did we ever talk about that before in any of our other sessions?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
always line up
that one's
for the head, or about where the head would be.
Yeah, always line up where the head's gonna be. Keep it at head level. Pre-aim where people are gonna be, so be turning corners, already aiming at the head, so that it just makes much easier headshots. Because you're just turning with it. And then that's gonna be one of your other core fundamentals, and I would really practice hard into that, especially if you're not playing every day, because crosshair placement is going to be that thing where it's going to be where your brain helps your aim, and it's not just going to be pure raw mechanical talent all the time. So if you can get better at crosshair placement, that's going to make up for the fact that you aren't practicing and playing every single day.
Okay.
Because that's something that you can think about while you're playing, which isn't necessarily the same thing as like always being mechanically in tune. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Any other questions on any of the mechanical stuff?
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can go ahead and hop into that replay and see if any of it comes up. Okay, Symmetra and Bastion. Big mistakes. Closest game. Okay, so the Symmetra one, just from your description, sounds like it'd be a closer game that's better to review, but
Okay.
at the same time, if you wanted to go over Bastion, then that's fine too. We can go over
We can go over
that,
Symmetra.
or we can do half and half and go over this for a little bit and then go over the other one. So we could, if you want, yeah, if you wanted to, we could maybe take a break at like 10 at like at see like 10:30 and swap over to the other one.
5, 4.
So just be a minute or so. I'm looking for something to talk
Let's take
about.
off. Our fates are entwined. Distributing
Okay, good kill. You weren't expecting the Sombra, but
Oh, not at all.
good job reacting to it.
teleporter manifested.
Okay, so I like the idea of the TP bomb, but here we're going for a TP bomb without really knowing where anybody is at all, right? Like
Right.
you're just automatically going for it when you don't even know who you're TP bombing. Which just means that, like, yeah, so Sombra, firstly, that opens up for the Sombra to
You
get you,
walked
but
the
then also,
wrong
like,
path.
just look at where everyone else is. They're, like, all over on point. So who are we actually trying to TP bomb? And
My
also, good.
expectation was they'd be going through the double gates right there,
Yep.
and then I'd TP bomb through the door, or if anyone went through the middle, like
Yeah, so you TP bomb, like, right here.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's like a good thought, but just make sure you're keeping your eyes and ears open and being aware of your surroundings
Of where they are.
so that you're not just like blindly expecting them to be where you expect them to be. Because like you could very easily just like while you're coming in, just look through this doorway and see them walking in. You can listen for them. You could like peek through this doorway right here to see them going to point, things like that, where you can just be able to see where they are and hear where they are, instead of just expecting them to be where they're going to be. So that's first one is know where they are before you're using it. The other thing is that we start
Distributing
placing the turrets down
Our fates
with,
are entwined.
let's see, we start placing them down with
Distributing
6
turrets.
seconds left on your TP, which just probably means that it's very likely that they're gonna get broken before you actually
Right.
get to use them. So
Okay.
I would probably, rather than placing them all down now, I would wait like 5 seconds or something like that, and then just place them all down really quickly, and that will help reduce the likelihood that they just get destroyed, and that would give you time to scout and see where they're all going and where they're gonna be at, because then if we were paying attention more, we could like see, oh, they all go point, and then just rotate over here and do it over here.
Right.
Like that kind of idea.
Okay.
Okay, so the kill.
Teleporter manifested. Teleporter taking objective is now. Turret materialized.
Okay. Very small note for the moment, but if you're gonna place them like on a wall behind them, which is a really good idea, don't stack them because then they'll be easier to destroy. You want to spread
Okay.
if you're gonna put them on a wall behind where they're gonna walk in. You want to spread them, because like that from a lot of different guns will basically be like a one shot for both. Whereas if you
Okay.
spread them, then they'll have to like look around to kill all three. Nice shots, but this is a pretty risky position, because think about like how are you gonna get out of this position?
Right.
Which you're dead. So like notice one where your whole team is, right? That's one thing to notice where their whole team is, or sorry, where your whole team is, and you're just really far ahead of everybody. Two, think about like where are you going afterwards? Like, what's your probably best bet of escape here?
With my position right there, either the center room or backing up the cliff, but going off the cliff would just separate me further from my team.
Yeah, but like like you said, this would just separate you further from your team, and then like they would just all chase you down, and then you die. If you went here, well then that's putting you straight through the open for a couple of seconds, and then they'd probably just shoot you and you die, right? So neither of those are great options. I'd probably say your best option of escape would be using your TP,
Yeah.
but it's not set up, which means that that's gonna take you like a second and a half to like actually get down and teleport, and in that time you're probably gonna die. So
Right.
probably better here than just trying to run away would be to have the TP pre-set up around the corner, right? So like if you had TP like right here going inside the room or going maybe I don't actually think it'd reach that far if you I don't think it'd reach to the top there, but you could have it going back to point or going back into the room or something like that. That would mean that you could shoot and then just teleport out and be back to safety of your team rather than just being here too long and then dying. So have the TP up as an escape option, or play from a safer place. Like you could just play further back to begin with, like play back here or something like that. Since you were just kind of spamming anyways. That all makes sense?
Oh yeah.
Cool, cool.
Aligning sentry positions. Invasion across the cluster.
Nah, honestly, it's
I will
mostly
not lose.
lost anyways. So
Teleporter material.
let's look at the setup.
Teleporter materialized.
I like the desire to take the high ground.
Raksha Pranali.
Pretty good spot. Once again, note how we're placing all of them down again on top of
Don't
each
have a
other,
target
and we
and don't have the TP.
yeah, don't have target, don't have TP. It's on like 8 seconds. So like if anybody pops up, those are all just dying immediately. And then now you're down all 3 turrets.
Right.
So it's probably just not good to place them yet. I would just wait if you're trying to do a TP bomb, or if you're not trying to do a TP bomb, don't stack them on top of each other. Because if Doomfist just like pops up for a second, he just shoots it and then they all die. So just wait, acquire target, or since you do know that they're all on point, so I would say it's even less about the target acquiring if you are aware of the fact that they're all on point, because you could place them and then peek real quick and see who you're going on, and then go for it. But you're just placing it really far ahead of time, which is
Right.
probably the best. Because now you're also forcing yourself to have a lot of downtime as well now while you're waiting on it.
Yeah.
I am at the objective.
Now
We
finally
must
was a
take
good
it
play
quickly.
because you got her, but just
I'm
a
looking
bit of
out.
downtime while we're waiting on it.
Meteor strike!
We are in harmony. Evidence of my existence.
Okay.
Such a lack of awareness.
Oh.
Yahi Parambasta Victor.
Okay. So, making sure that right, like this is probably a bit of an awareness thing because we didn't know that their entire team is walking back, right? I think we were expecting to maybe like push back up to choke or something like that, and
Right.
we didn't know that they were all coming. So that's awareness, right? Paying attention to where's your team, where's their team, when are they all coming back, right? And watching for it. So that's thing number 1. 2, we're just pretty far out in the open there, like we're just sitting smack dab in the middle. So that means that when they did start shooting at us, we just had nowhere to run because it was going to take a couple seconds. If we went this way, then we would be isolated. If we went this way, it would take even longer. So just make sure that you're using cover as well, and we can go more in depth on that if we need to, but I'm assuming that's something we've gone over in depth in the past, right? Just remembering that cover's all over the place, and good positioning, good base positioning is the usage of cover. Always being around pillars and doorways and corners and things like that. They're going to reduce your damage, and just make sure you're using that.
Okay.
Ults, yeah, I mean, it saved your life. Probably would have been better if we just hadn't been in that position to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Sombra picks you off. Go for the res.
A second chance.
Okay, notice once again how far on the open you are right here. Right?
Mhm.
So look at your current position. And then that means that you just get high noons really easy, right? So if we were closer to this center pillar to begin with, then high noon happens, you just go boop, Creek can't see you. But because you were so far out in the open, it took you a couple seconds to go get behind that cover. And I think we even hesitate too. we paused there to get the shot off, and then we did. So just run for it as soon as possible. Respect that ult.
Oh yeah.
And then just make sure you're using cover. It's just a lack
Behold my
of cover
creation.
usage.
My sentry is offline.
Clear the point. I'm at the height of my performance.
I think they thought they got the point.
Yeah.
Behold my exceptionality. I'm summoned with them. Positioning self never dies. My sentry was destroyed.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay.
My
Once
sentry
again,
was
maybe
destroyed.
could have potentially had it placed sooner rather than later, so that you're not trying to place it reactionarily. Like if you're in
Right.
the middle of a fight, it could just be handy to have down, because then you can just TP around a lot more freely, and have and dodge abilities and ultimates and things like that. And then if they want to destroy it, then they have to look down and not pay attention to you for a little bit. So
Right.
you don't always want to just spam it out there, because you don't want to just waste it. But if you're in the middle of fighting like this, it could be handy to have it down for an event like a Doomfist ult.
Okay.
My sentry was destroyed. Teleportation.
Oh, no, nice. Okay. So what DPS do you play? Because you played Sim Bastion.
Usually, yeah, Bastion.
Primarily, those are just the main ones.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Trying to think. Then yeah, I guess Sim works. Like Sim works on this point. Bastion. Problem is that neither. Sometimes, I guess Sims might be a bit better against dive, but Sims definitely Sim Bastion. I don't think either of them are particularly fond of dive, because if you think of it like with Sim, you don't have like shields to charge your left click on, so your left click becomes a lot less useful when there's not very much brawling happening. They're either going to be far away from you, and then they're just getting on top of you instantly, and that doesn't give you time to charge up your left click. And then your right click, if you're just spamming it, isn't nearly as effective as other guns in the DPS class. So your really dive just makes your gun a lot less useful as Symmetra. comboed by the fact that a lot of dive characters can just kind of stay outside of your range. Like Pharah
Yeah.
Echo can easily, are just decent counters. You are a good matchup like against Genji, but other characters like Monkey can get him pretty good. Yeah, so it's just not a fantastic matchup. Bastion also struggles kind of with the quick dive. Like they both Bastion and Symmetra want to be like mowing down a slow moving comp. So they probably like both do best against just a brawl composition or something like that that's just like slowly walking towards you. Or at least attempting to. Or in like maybe against a spam. But they're both going to struggle a little bit against a dive, just as a food for thought, which isn't impossible to overcome. Just might also be potentially handy to have another character in your toolkit that is good against a dive, that you'd be able to pick if they're playing dive. Like even
What would be a good third option for that?
yeah. So
When that dive pulls up.
so I mean, Torbjorn would be a pretty good pick, and he's also not good. He kind of follows in that same like builder class where, so like the same mindset, not 100% mechanics, because you have turret, but then there's also a decent bit of shooting, and he's pretty tanky, and has a turret that can track people from long distances really easy, and dive sometimes can have trouble taking down the turret. So Torbjorn would be a good pick. I mean, there's also Kree, but he's pretty high mechanical requirements. Then besides that, I feel like I want to see a hero roster right now, but what other DPS would fit the anti-dive? I mean, Junkrat's sometimes, but other times he can. Junkrat really would only be like anti-dive on specific maps. On certain maps, dive can kind of just get around him, or he'll struggle up against like flying characters. So Junkrat can struggle in specific matchups, but in other matchups he can do pretty good up against divey characters, especially like with his trap and just easy to hit projectiles. Plus Junkrat's pretty good at the moment, so I say Torbjorn's pretty great, Junkrat pretty good. Yeah, those are probably some of your better picks of anti-dive, unless you're trying to just go dive yourself. Reaper potentially if they have like if they're doing like like if they're relying heavily on like their monkey to dive in or something like that. But once again, he'll be counter. I mean, like the problem with like these anti-dive characters like Junkrat, Torbjorn, Reaper is they don't do good up against like Pharah Echo,
Right.
who are also divey characters sometimes. So it's a give or take, but you could always get, if they swap Pharah, you can go like Bastion or something like that.
Okay.
So just some thoughts.
Ready for battle.
Even though it's not like optimal, Torbjorn would still probably be better up against like a Pharah Echo, but Bastion would be better because it's his hit span.
Adjusting turret placement.
Okay, you just take control of that left room. Oh, but they have a Sombra.
This is my turret. Sentry in position.
Notice, I mean, you're trying to get the Sombra. We're just kind of running to the open to do it. Yeah, so we're trying to get the Sombra up, but we're kind of just like running straight through the middle of point in a straight line to try to accomplish that. So, once again, maybe instead of just running smack dab through the middle of the open, which ends up getting killed, use a TP, right? Which would be the instant travel and give you the option of an escape as well.
My sentry was destroyed. Much better. turret.
Okay, so we kind of placed all 3 of your turrets down in a place where you weren't actually gonna like use them, so that was kind of a waste of the turrets. And then we TP in and didn't have all 3 turrets to work with.
Distributing turret. Gondolas
Meteor strike!
Terracotta materialized. Adjusting turret placement. We are outnumbered. Allah teammate! Teleporter mounted.
Okay, there we sat out of the fight for a little too long,
Sentry in
and our
position.
whole team died on that for a while. Yeah, and then we ended up staggering. So just if you don't think, if you're not confident you can get out, a lot of times it can just be better to die sooner rather than later, so you're not getting staggered.
And then I see.
Say that again?
Oh, I said I see.
Okay, yep. Oh, sorry, my brain got confused there for a second. I forgot that you were red. And I'm like, man, we're not doing great on the hitting our the people right in front of us. Nope, you're on red team.
Yahi param vastavikta
Okay.
hai.
Problem with it? What's the problem with this wall?
I guess it doesn't provide cover to point.
Yeah, so it is just along this axis right here, which if we follow this, they're probably just gonna like run back to point, and then what are we gonna do? Like sit behind it right here and try to spam at them? Like it's not really that effective as a method of pushing to point, because they can just kind of run away from it here and be fine. Probably better if you're playing Orisa Symmetra, which Orisa Symmetra, Reaper, you're running, what kind of comp are you running right now?
More brawl.
Yeah, you're running a brawly comp. You're the composition that likes close range. You want to run them quick. You want to like have them come to you. You probably want to just like sprint on top of like the Brig Kree here, right? And just get on top of them and try to mow them down as soon as possible. But we're kind of going this side angle, which just gives them more time to try to pick you guys off, like with their Sombra Doomfist, and then McCree just gets to shoot at you from a range that you can't shoot back from, right? So you're
Right.
playing, and this is like sometimes like this seems like kind of what we've been doing, is we keep like trying to like run around them instead of like just straight up running to them in some of these fights. So just keep in mind that you're a pretty close ranged character, and you want to make sure that you're sticking with your team, trying to get on top of them. Here, angling the wall more this way would mean that you have the protection that you can dance in and out of each side while you're walking into point, and then it would be on point with it.
See, okay.
So a lot more advantageous like in the fight. So you can see
They have
we push
disrupted my plan.
left side, but we kind of push left, maybe ahead of our tank.
Locking satellite vectors!
We walk in like a second before our tank does, and we're too focused on placing the turrets. We don't immediately notice the McCree on top of you, and you don't notice the Brig and Doomfist like about to punch you. So, once again, awareness, paying attention to your surroundings, maybe pause to make sure that you're safe before you're trying to place down all your turrets, or even better, place all 3 of your turrets from here so that you're not doing it when you're in an
Out in the
exposed
open.
position. Yeah, I think you're relying too heavily on the shield here, but they can very easily just like push past the shield with a punch, and Brig can just come in, and Kree obviously walks in here. So maybe just place it from a safer position behind your tank, and let your tank run in front of you.
They have disrupted my plan.
Okay.
They have disrupted my plan.
I think sometimes we're getting overwhelmed in these fights, and once again, like just not being aware because we don't notice the brig for a little bit. There we go. There we go. Oh, if we were just like a hair faster on that turnaround.
Distributing turrets.
Okay. Not noticing or paying attention to the fact that Doom is there still. We're kind of tunnel visioning on the Juno.
The Juno.
If we did know that Doomfist was there, what are actions we
Distributing
could have
turrets.
taken to not get punched? And also remembering the Somersault, what are actions we could have taken to not get punched in the face?
Back up with my team.
Back up with your team, or
Place a TP down.
placing a TP down, right? Because then, and if you're aware, if you like have a TP like here to anywhere, and you are paying attention vaguely to Doomfist with your ears, then that means that you know that he's like that he's there and trying to punch at you, and you can just TP and dodge it. So just remembering that TP can be used in a lot more ways than exclusively
Reaction.
TP. Yeah, reaction or TP bombing or TPing back from spawn. You can use it in the middle of a fight for repositioning, for dodging abilities and ultimates and things like that. So just remember that like it can be used during a fight as well. Okay,
Score.
we're past the time I said before. We can swap over to Bastion here. Maybe have a little bit less time on him, but it's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, any questions on Symmetra at all?
Not at all, you know. I think
Ready for battle.
everything you've brought up are things that I hadn't put a lot of thought into, like
Ready
using
for battle. Ready for
turrets
battle.
and TPs more efficiently.
Ready for battle.
Yep, and that's gonna be a big chunk of her kit. That's not even like directly related to her raw mechanical output as well.
3,
So those are always like when you know that you struggle. There are a lot of ways to be really good at this game. That's even when you're not do even the best mechanically. Yeah, I mean, like I wasn't always the best mechanically. This is like my first FPS game. And even at my peak, like there were a lot of players with better mechanics than me.
Right.
Even when I was up in top 500 all the time, like there were a lot of players who just like were better shooting than I was. But the reason why I was able to compete is because I would just play the game I knew how to play, right? Like I just had down all the other fundamentals pretty good, where I would use cover and I would go in at the right time, and I would be aware of my surroundings, and I would and I'd have decent aim because because I practiced and played consistently and things like that, and like all of it just added up. And there's part of that is like just being really good like at those ability management and ult usage, because like those two things right there, right? Like if you had better abilities and ultimates, like those aren't even just pure mechanical things, and that would just greatly increase your gameplay ability.
attackers incoming.
I like that you're maintaining high ground. That's really good here. It's good positioning. Your whole team's just like close. You guys probably want to just let them push more. Honestly, it's hard there because Junkrat did push pretty far. Might have been good if you just stayed high ground as well, or even and start trying to rotate back to high ground now, because I do think that high ground is a lot better positioning.
Right.
Angles, it's gonna be a lot safer for you. You get to guard them from going up that right side as well. We thought we had bomb and we didn't.
So yeah.
Overwatch shooting into the... You've been doing decent at it, but not perfect at not shooting into his grasps. Because we have shot decent into his grasps. Nice, okay. Pretty good, pretty good. Honestly doing pretty good job of just spamming here. You've been keeping pretty good cover. Doing good, like, ability rotations. Let's see where it falls apart. Oh, they're going up right side. Maybe that's where our problem comes in.
Could.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you know how to market jump. That's awesome, because now this is just better positioning for you. Yeah, nice. Good job. Nice. Good. All right. So far, doing actually pretty good.
I think I see the enemy.
When they start pushing back in, like that high ground's gonna be probably where you want to be. If you see any like Masters Gym gameplay, they don't really hold this corner. They just play high ground. Okay, so because we're not on high ground, right? We just get pinned really easy. And we're also just like we don't have as much cover as we could. We try pushing through the open, which just gets us rolled over here. So being up here is just gonna make us a lot like Reinhardt can't get to you without going up this really long corridor that you get to spam him and see him coming from a mile away. So just a lot more easily defendable. So yeah, really it's probably the main thing. Just be on high ground, and then also just make sure you're not like ahead of your whole team.
Yeah.
Play behind your tank. I don't know what we were looking at there. Maybe like took your hand off your mouth or something. We just here. I don't know if like what we were doing, but we weren't paying attention to the fight. That's what's different. Because we just like kind of sprint straight back into them. Remember what range are you as Bastion? Mid ranged, right? Is this mid range?
No.
No, you're like running straight into the Reinhardt.
Into the foreground,
right? Yeah. And what composition are they running at the moment? Which no, this is kind of tricky question.
It looks more brawl.
Yeah.
Because you got the May and the Ryan.
Yeah. More brawl, maybe a little bit of spam mixed in there, because the Mercy Sojourn is spam. And then Juno, what is Juno? Juno is definitely dive. I'd say not. I guess she's probably pretty even across brawl spam. Cause yeah, I guess she's more even, but she doesn't have a lot of sustain heals. But she's gonna do pretty decent with brawl because she can speed in like the Reinhardt. So I just had to think through that one for a sec. So Juno's a little bit brawly too, and Reinhardt definitely has the most sway as the tank. So I'd say mostly brawl, a little bit of spam in there. Whereas you, as a character at least, are not. You're more spammy, not brawl. So
Right.
make sure you're playing your range and not just sprinting into them, because that's just gonna put you at a big disadvantage and just get you killed pretty easy. So where could you be right now?
Where the Ana is.
Yeah, so taking high ground over here, or even just sticking on this high ground, or coming down and playing like this doorway or something like that. Like just any of those would be better options
True,
than
yeah.
just sprinting. Because also, what are we right now? What's another problem with our positioning besides not
But
being
we're
on high ground?
wide open.
Wide on the open, right? No cover at all. So lack of cover, lack of high ground, big things with positioning. Yeah. Like, know how like we've gone through, and like, though of course your aim's not perfect, it's also like not the most critical things in these fights. Like, you're not coming into these fights and losing them because you didn't land a couple shots, because your aim, though it's not fantastic, it's like, it's the way that I usually look at aim sometimes, unless it's like atrocious, is it's good enough. And aim is something that like is even, I'd say sometimes like even harder to get good at and nail down, especially when you're not putting in the time commitment, than these other things. These other things are sometimes can be easier to implement. They're and then in these fights, they're probably gonna have bigger impact. Like your positioning here is gonna have a bigger impact on this fight than your ability to hit like a couple extra headshots.
Right.
So that's just some things to think about. Okay, back on the high ground, nice. Okay. What's the word for that?
Awareness.
Awareness, right? Didn't notice the Venture was up on top of you until you'd already taken a couple shots, right? And then you might be able to boop you out of the window pretty easy, right? Which just puts you into really bad position and you die, right? So knowing that Venture's there sooner means greater chances of not dying. So making sure that you're keeping your eyes and ears open, not just tunnel visioning on what you're shooting at all the time, but paying attention to where are all their teammates. I don't see all 5 of them in front of me. Where the rest go? So awareness wise, it's probably like the biggest thing to focus on is where is your team, where is their team, because yeah, that's probably the biggest thing in awareness for you right now is being aware of where everyone on the map is. Don't just like always stare in one direction, do 360s and check around you, keep your ears open, and just pay attention, because that's going to be your biggest thing. Do you remember in the past what we've talked about in terms of application? Like, how do you put this stuff into practice? What's the primary like way that you're going to actually get better at these things?
If I recall, it was just repeating, asking yourself, well, why did I die? And how could I have not died or lasted a bit longer?
Yeah, so that's really good as a method of like personal coaching or identifying your problems. But once you figure out your problems, like let's say you go, oh, I'm dying all the time because I'm just running into their team, right? Now, how do you stop yourself, or how do you fix those problems? How do you stop yourself from doing bad things or make yourself do good things?
I guess proactively practicing it, like,
Mm-hmm.
or stopping every few intervals of time. Like, all right, am I still maintaining this goal of doing a 360
Yeah.
and checking my surroundings?
Yeah, you're on the right track, and in that it's constant reminders and focusing on the thing you're trying to work on, right? Like you're not coming into the game and just autopiloting and just playing to play, right? You're not gonna have the session and then just like go into your next game and be like, oh, cool session, that was awesome, and then just like just do everything the same way you were doing it before, right? You want to make sure that while you're playing, you're picking something out and you're giving yourself a constant reminder to work on it, such as like if you're trying to work on awareness, right? Like maybe that's something that seems a little bit vague to work on, but you're going to come into your game and you're going to think to yourself, where's my team? Where's their team? Where's my team? Where's their team? Where's my team? Where's their team? And when you give yourself that constant reminder to think about your surroundings, you're probably going to think about your surroundings a bit more, and that's literally all that awareness is it's just thinking about your surroundings and looking at your surroundings, right? So
Right.
your therefore your awareness will be better because you're thinking about it, and then as you improve on it and that you and work on it for a little bit, you'll make it into a habit, so it just comes naturally, and then from there it just is just going to just come naturally, and you can move on to the next thing to work on. And then yeah, like also just try not to do everything all at once. Like it's overwhelming. Pick one category of things or 1 to 3 smaller things to work on.
Okay.
Like awareness is one of those things where like now obviously not perfect, but like mechanics might be something that like I'll get rusty at after not playing for a month of Overwatch or something like that. But awareness is something that like just once you nail it down, kind of just sticks, right? And sometimes you'll have to refresh yourself on it, but it's gonna be it's gonna stick around a lot easier than like mechanics will. Okay, let's go into the wrap-up review and main points of the session. So, Symmetra, ult usage, a lot of the time, I didn't get to see all of your ultimates, but with your ultimates, a lot of the time you want to place it in the direction that you want to be moving
Okay.
to, because this allows you
To
weave in and out and do shield dancing with your shield. And so you automatically have the advantage in the fight. You can kind of run into them and start dueling. If you're trying to, how do I rotate it? Yeah, if we're trying to place it here, right, like a sideways wall, that's usually not very effective because that just means that we kind of just chill here and then wait it out. Then you just run around the corner and wait it out. Or just run through it and then they're just through it and then they don't really.
Yeah.
So it's a lot less effective a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of times in comparison to doing this, where we can go in, if we angle it on the point here, we can get in and just dodge and weave in and out of this and get into the range that we want to be in because we're a close range character as Symmetra.
Right.
So that can be pretty effective. No. So that was ult usage. Place it where you wanted to go. Overall, I only saw like 2 ults of yours on Sim. And Bastion I only saw 1 and it was pretty good. So Sim a little bit higher than Bastion's. But still like, probably the lower end of a medium for you to work on. Do some stuff, not crazy insane. Ability usage. Don't place down all of your turrets like 6 seconds before your TP is ready. Place them all down and then be ready on the TP. Place them in safe places where they're not going to get destroyed. Let's see what the other ones we mentioned on that. TP. Just think about how you can be using it in a fight, in a duel, right? Like if I'm fighting this right here and I'm pushing out, I can just like place this over here and like bounce back and forth and do this and just bounce back and forth, and then they have to if they destroy it, then they destroy it, and that just takes their attention away from the fight. And then now we have it back again, we can do the same kind of thing, right? And we're just using it to get in closer. And that's just like holding on to it, right? And dodging abilities and ultimates with it, right? Overall, that was like a higher end of a medium for you to work on. There were a bit more things to work on with that. Mechanics. Oh, I guess let's do Bastion real quick for those. I already mentioned ult usage was or was a little bit lower. I only saw one. Ability is honestly pretty good. I didn't really have too much of a problem with your ability usage. You spammed out your grenades pretty good. You use your sentry form at appropriate timings, so I didn't really have a problem at all with abilities on Bastion. So that's pretty low. Let's see mechanics. Mechanics, you know, like we said, practice, warm up, high aim intensive game modes, watch your crosshair placement. Now in Symmetra, crosshair placement's not going to do anything in terms of headshots, but you can still aim where you know people are going to be and do stuff like this, where it's going to make your shots pretty easy because you're just keeping it on one plane. That's just going to make for easy shots. On Bastion, though, you definitely want headshots with your normal
Sentry or normal, yeah, recon.
Yeah, recon. So, make sure you're going for headshots with that, and then when you're not, you can't hit headshots, so you can hit the body at that point. And then, is there anything else? Bastion, we didn't talk about mechanics too much. Symmetra. I mean, try to get in range to use your left click a bit more, but you are also playing against dive, which is hard to do that with. But if you're at a range for it, left click is just gonna be the superior method of damage. So,
Right.
Try to get it charged up best as you can. Overall mechanics, you know, lower end of a medium. Some stuff not crazy amounts. Then comes positioning. Make sure that you're using high ground. High ground is really, really good for you. High ground gives you visibility to see a bunch of stuff that you can't see on a low ground. High ground gives you survivability, right? It acts as cover, so they can see you, now they can't, see you, now they can't. And then a lot of characters can't just instantly get up to you on high ground. They have to like run around, and it takes a long time, which adds an additional layer of survivability. So high ground's really great. Look to take them. Cover. Don't stand out in the open. Good cover is the usage of good positioning is the usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. The further away you stray, worse off you're gonna be. So look to take it. Don't be out in the open all the time.
I am outstanding.
And that's some of the main stuff on positioning. Honestly, I think. I don't watch your range, right? So Bastion, don't go and play close range, play your mid range. Sim, maybe try to play a bit closer, but just being careful when you're getting closer.
Okay.
But yeah, because sometimes we would go and try to push up close, and then we just kind of sprint in without teammates and stuff like that. So be careful with how you're doing that. Overall, positioning, that was a little bit higher. That positioning was
Higher priority.
Yeah, that was gonna be like a lower end of a medium high. And then awareness, pay attention to where is your team, where is their team. That's the main stuff, right? Like where's your team at? Because sometimes we push in without them. And where is the enemy team at? Because sometimes we just wouldn't notice when somebody was like right on top of you. Or we're like trying to place down like the turret bomb when they're like all over there. Right? So
yeah,
paying attention to where everyone is gonna be very helpful for you. And overall, that was probably also like a lower end of medium high. So put that all in order. Oh man, that's hard. Awareness or positioning? Darn, they're pretty even.
I think awareness goes first because you need to have somewhat good awareness to know what positioning is good or not.
So sure, yeah, focus on awareness. Like I said, it's not, don't like overcomplicate it for yourself. Just think while you're playing, where's their team? Where's my team? Where's their team? Where's my team? And then that'll help give you a better paying attention to like what's actually happening in the fight. And then next comes positioning, cover, high ground, and then after that comes I mean probably on Symmetra, probably turrets, abilities, and then ults and the mechanics last. Bastion, it'd be like mechanics, and then abilities ult were fine, so don't even worry about it. So it would just be mechanics next. But Symmetra, it's a little bit different in mid order. All that makes sense. Any final questions?
No, I think it works out. Thank you very much.
Okay, cool. I'll get